back, everybody, to a crypto market update by DYOR Crypto. In today's episode, we're going to find out whether we're still in a bull market or if this bull market is ending, or whether this bull market is actually starting anew. So we have some evidence here that we're going to present to you, and you'll be able to make that decision yourself by the end of this video, and you're going to know whether you should be buying, selling, or holding at this point, and what you should look out for in the coming months and weeks for this Bitcoin market, and how you should prepare yourself for what's about to come. So let's take a look at the Bitcoin price today and kind of analyze what just happened over the last couple of days. So we saw lower highs here from early September all the way to the end of September, and for the most part, it was just as expected. Everybody expected September to be a bad month, and it absolutely was a bloody month. Overall returns for the month of September have declined from the beginning of the month by about 20 to 25%. So if we look at that factor and we just look at the month of September, it looks weak. But let's take a look at the months prior to September. Bitcoin saw a recovery from the bottom of a previous dip for about 80% ROI in that period of time, over 49 days, to see only 25% retracement. And now we're actually in the beginning of the month of October, which is expected to be a big month. And we've already started the month. The first of the month, we saw a huge green candle print in just one single day. We made up for almost all of September's losses. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin monthly returns and see what we should expect here for the end of the year for Q4, because this has been a big topic. And I want to reiterate this for most people. Bitcoin operates on cycles of supply and demand. Now, at the beginning of the cycle, the Bitcoin price drops significantly from the previous bull market and starts a bear market and slowly recovers. So every 4 years, we see a cycle. We call this the Bitcoin halving cycle. It starts off by a huge market correction, as we saw in 2014. The entire year of 2014 saw a 57% loss from the top of the year. Then we saw a slightly better year, a recovery of about 37%, and followed by a year of seeing double the price of Bitcoin from the beginning of the year. And finally, we see almost a 10x, over a 10x return on Bitcoin in the final year of the 4-year bull market cycle. Right now, we are actually in the final phase of this bull market cycle if we follow this pattern. So you can see here we've had sort of a good year overall, but mediocre, I would say, in the we've been slumping here towards the end of the year. Overall, we've seen a 42% so far, 42% increase in the price of Bitcoin from the top of the year. But according to this pattern, we should see a dark green number to follow this number here at the end of the year. So the next 3 months are expected to be spectacular in terms of gains, but do your own research. This is not financial advice. These are the forecasts that this is my opinion, of course. So take that with a grain of salt and be sure to research more into this. Of course, I want to present you with the best evidence I can find. So that's why I'm going to show you Plan B's prediction for Bitcoin. He says that on-chain analytics show that we're still on target and that this big bull market may have at least 6 more months to go. Plan B is infamous for coming up with the Bitcoin stock to flow model, which is a very key indicator. If you don't know what that is, I recommend to go to the website planbtc.com and read about it. But basically, why does Bitcoin have value at all? People don't understand. A lot of people don't understand this. I get this question a lot. Why is why does Bitcoin have any value? It's nothing, right? Well, it's really the main attribute that it has that makes it similar to other assets like gold is scarcity. There's only a limited amount of Bitcoin that can ever be produced. It's more scarce than gold. So, what makes it so valuable is that there's not enough to go around for everybody. It's that simple. And now, with institutions realizing, catching on to the trend, institutions like Goldman Sachs and Grayscale and these big banks, JP Morgan, are all buying it all up. They're buying up the entire supply. And the more people buy the supply, the less that's available, the more the price goes up. So I recommend you research the stock to flow model, because this is the primary model that I personally look at for understanding where Bitcoin is headed over the years. Now, as you can see, the price of Bitcoin here, the bottom of the chart is $1,000. Where we are right now is not even close to the $1 million mark. We sit at the $50,000 mark. We're way down here. We're at the bottom of this chart. So if the trajectory continues to follow the stock to flow model, we can see in the future $1 million Bitcoin, and I wholeheartedly believe that that's the case. So even if we're in a bull market, whether we're in a bear market or a bull market, doesn't matter, because if you're a long-term holder, then everything should appreciate over the long term. Now, you have to have a really long-term horizon to understand this, but even in the short term, things could be really, really good. That's why I showed you the returns over the last 8 years, so you can see for yourself the trend, the patterns that we've been seeing. So we're expecting these next few months to be big months. But even if they're not, the long-term trajectory for Bitcoin is extremely bullish. Now, what other reasons are going to make, besides just scarcity, because a lot of people just can't really grasp the idea that supply and demand is the driving factor here. But there are a lot of other reasons that will drive up demand, and the supply is obviously going to decrease on its own from people buying it, and from the fact that Bitcoin only reduces its supply over, reduces its not its circulating supply, but the amount of supply that's newly minted each year up until the year 2040. It's going to be reduced less and less. There's going to be less and less Bitcoin available. But besides that, there are a lot of rumors from a lot of analysts stating that there's going to be a exchange traded fund, an ETF approved by the SEC for Bitcoin, that could trigger a massive, massive run up, which could be the catalyst for the next 3 months that we're talking about here. National adoption, we already saw El Salvador do this. After El Salvador, we don't know, but there's a lot of countries that are. Ukraine is one of them, and Paraguay. A lot of South American nations are looking into it. Of course, with the integration of Strike and the Lightning Network on Twitter, we've seen Twitter adoption. Twitter is like one of the biggest proponents right now in the tech industry for Bitcoin, and they're actually integrating Bitcoin right into the social media platform. So you can send money on Bitcoin. You can send Bitcoin over Twitter now instantly using the Strike and Lightning Network. So there's like no fees, or very, very little fees. It's an amazing thing that Jack Dorsey has endorsed, and I'm very proud proud of him and happy to be a part of this. As I'm big on Twitter as well, so be sure to follow me there. Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft. We already know, like, Google and Microsoft are working with certain blockchains right now. I know there's a partnership with Polygon Matic with Google, and I think that's a huge. I would, if you're looking for altcoins, Cardano is my number one pick. I love, if you're looking for something super speculative, which has high risk but high reward, I would check into Polygon Matic. They do have a lot of amazing partnerships, including Google. We already know Amazon's in the works. We know Facebook's already doing it. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now in private sector. Michael Saylor, Paul Tudor Jones, some of the biggest investors in the world are buying Bitcoin right now, and they're expressing their their conviction by buying it, putting their money where their mouth is. I don't know how many thousands of Bitcoins Michael Saylor holds. Paul Tudor Jones, one of the biggest gold investors in the world, has already switched, a significant amount into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is like digital gold. And we know China is the biggest manipulator of Bitcoin right now, but they will or may do a U-turn at one point because if they know any better, they will be buying a lot of Bitcoin and holding it for themselves and maybe not allowing their citizens have it. But that's how you can tell that this is such a fundamentally powerful technology, because nations are buying it and they don't necessarily want to give it away or give it back. They want to hold it for themselves. So make sure you get yours while you still can. Now, speaking of supply shock, there is a reduction in the supply. As you can see here, the more that the price of Bitcoin goes up, the more that the supply goes down. There's a direct correlation between that. As you can see, Bitcoin supply is at an all-time low right now, and the price is not at an all-time high. But as a result of it being at an all-time low, I would not be surprised to see a new all-time high by the end of this year. Will Clemente is one of the most well-known analysts in the space and most trusted analysts in the state in this in the state of Bitcoin, I would say, and he talks a lot about this supply shock. And I would highly recommend you follow him on Twitter and read everything he writes, because this is the driving factor of Bitcoin value, supply and demand. And he talks about what's going on in the world of Bitcoin analytics on chain, and this really gives you the insight as to why Bitcoin goes up and down. But where we are right now, where he says we are in a liquid supply, so we're in a state of a liquid supply shock, which is what causes the price to sort of stimulates the price to grow. So as you can see, the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, we saw a supply shock, which caused the price to go from $10,000 to $60,000. We saw that happen in 2019, and we saw that happen in 2017, at the top of the 2017, which took us to the $20,000 mark in 2017, 2018, before we saw a long, prolonged bear market. Now, as far as the ETF goes, there is no confirmation, but a lot of analysts from Bloomberg and other well-known institutions are saying that the SEC could approve a Bitcoin ETF by this month. And it's not out of the question that this could be the catalyst that will cause Bitcoin to go to an all-time high. And my personal price prediction is $100,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year. So should you be buying or selling Bitcoin right now? Well, I don't chase green candles. So right now would not be an ideal time to buy, because it's always a risk. It's always more risk when you're buying on the green. What you want to do is you want to wait for a nice sized correction to find an entry point. And I would say that anywhere between 40, I would say anywhere between 46,000 and 44,000 or 43,000 would be a great place to buy if you're looking to get into crypto. Now, if you want to get into altcoins, it's the same thing. You look at the price of Bitcoin, and then that will help you determine whether it's a good time to get into altcoins. So I would say if Bitcoin retraces back down to the $45,000 mark, I would say it's a safe bet to continue to buy more. If Bitcoin corrects below this gray line here, which is $39,000 approximately, then I would say that it's likely that we're going into a prolonged or a short-term bear market. But in any case, today is a really good day because we just saw a huge increase in demand and the price of Bitcoin over night, basically, from the beginning of the month of October. We saw, let's see how much of an increase we've already seen. So if you were in Bitcoin already, you've seen your price go up just in a few days here by about 20%, which is huge. So we're expecting this to continue, but there will be some corrections along the way. That will be our opportunity to get in if you're speculating on price of Bitcoin. Now, I don't recommend speculation. I recommend buy and hold. I am a buy and hold long-term investor. So it doesn't really matter at that point if you're buying at 40,000, at 50,000, or even at 60,000. The price of Bitcoin will continue to go up over the years. 100,000 very likely to happen this year, and then 500,000 in the next 4 years, and then $1 million over the next 8 years. Very, very likely to happen. So I'll do more of these videos if I get enough likes on this. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And and you definitely want to turn on your notifications if you want to know when the Bitcoin bear market is about to actually begin. So I'll be putting out a lot more videos when I see the price of Bitcoin showing definite signs of a bear market reversal. As of right now, we're still in the neutral zone, so it may very well follow the predictions of the analyst, and we might see $100,000 Bitcoin this year. But if there is no one really knows the future. No one has a fortune. No one's a fortune teller, right? But we can be really good at analyzing patterns and be able to determine from that. But there's not 100% probability that we're going to go see $100,000. So I am very confident in the long term we're going to see $1 million Bitcoin. There's no doubt in my mind about that. So long term, we're looking bullish for sure. Short term, we don't know. But if you're looking for an opportunity to get in for the long term now, it's going to be a good time to keep an eye on this price and find your entries. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.